Hi everybody, this is Castlevania. This is the beginning of me playing every single Castlevania game that ever came out. Every single frickin' one. So case in point here. Excuse me. So I'm just gonna open up this document here. We're gonna switch over to the monitor here. I don't need Twitch chat to be that big. I really prefer it if it didn't. So this is, I uploaded a video showing this off. This list is going to get longer because I'm going to add the fan games, or at least the notable ROM hack fan games to this. But this is a list of every single Castlevania game that ever came out, including patch slot games and whatnot. We're going to go through every single one of these, but we're going to start with the canonical games. So we have actually, on my channel, Let's Played, Symphony of the Night and Bloodlines, because I really like those two games, so I did those, and that's what made me go like, I should do this more as like an actual thing. So, and then I live streamed going through the entire game, Castlevania The Adventure, which I might do again, because that was kind of a shitty live stream. But anyway, so we're going to start at Castlevania 1 here. So that's what we're doing today. We're only going to do the NES version, but I figured something that would be neat, a lot of these older games, because I want to like take you through the story of Castlevania, right? So a lot of the older games, there wasn't a lot of story. In this game, there is no story. However, they normally kept that in the manual. So I found, and a lot of this project is for archival purposes, so I went ahead and I found a, a scan of the manual for Castlevania. So there's not a whole lot here. The only intro is, good evening. Step into the shadows of the deadliest dwelling on earth. You've arrived at Castlevania, and you're here on business to destroy forever the curse of the evil count, which apparently is a proper term. Unfortunately, everyone's home this evening. Bats, ghosts, and every creature you can imagine. You'll find them all over the place, if they don't find you first. Because you've got to get through 6 monstrous floors while they... 6 monstrous floors before you even meet up with the master of the house, also a proper term apparently. Your magic whip, also proper term, will help, and you'll probably find a weapon or two along the way. But once you make it to the tower, you can count on a duel to the death. The Count has waited 100 years for a rematch. He's ready. Are you? That is actually a pretty good hint that the original Castlevania is not the first one canonically. It is like, I think it's like the fourth. As we go through this project, we'll kind of parse out, what game is which in the storyline. And once I'm all done with this, I'm actually just going to upload them all in canonical order. Or put them all in a playlist in canonical order. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this is the fourth. There's like Castlevania 3, there's a PS2 version, or there's a PS2 game. So this is the fifth, because there's the PS Lament of Darkness, and then there's 3, then there's the PS2 version, or PS2 game, and I cannot remember the name of it, because I didn't even realize it existed until I made this list. And then there's Castlevania The Adventure, I want to say. And then, actually, I think Castlevania The Adventure 2, so this is 6th. Anyway, how to play. This game can play with 1 or 2 players. If there are 2 players, play alternate from one to the other. I don't even think I get that option. A single player can either use Control 1 or Control 2. When 2 players are competing, both controls must be used. Once again, that's not relevant to me. The object is to move through the passages and stairways of the castle to reach the tower, dodging or destroying every creature in your path. Use the control as directed to activate your magic whip and other weapons you'll find along the way. And watch for secret doors. Before you begin, you must use the select button to control 1 or 2 player modes, and hit start, and your nightmare begins. Here is, the controls here, on a Famicom controller, which is interesting, because this is very much in English. And, And yeah, I mean, this is how you play the game, right? It's Castlevania. The score, power level indicator, time, weapon indicator, and this is all pretty standard. The one more interesting thing about this is that we actually have a list of every enemy in the game and weapon, which some of these are very interesting, because you got vampires, zombies, black leopards, and Fishman, which I think actually got changed. Phantom Bat, which I think it just ended up getting changed to Bat. Queen Medusa, that's a boss, I think they actually just kept her as Medusa, and then they changed her to Medusa, and then they changed this to Medusa heads. Ravens, I think, stayed the same. Black Knight, White Skeleton, Red Skeleton, Eagle, Skeledragon. It is no longer called Frankenstein, canonically. It is called The Creature. Probably because, one, it's incorrect to call it Frankenstein. To put on my high school literature, did you know that the real monster is Frankenstein, and it's actually Frankenstein's monster? I fucking hate Frankenstein, by the way. I love the book Dracula, which is, hey, look where we are. And I read Frankenstein following it up, thinking like, oh man, this classic literature horror is phenomenal. Dracula is one of the best books I've ever read, if not the best book I've ever read. And then I read Frankenstein, and I was disgusted because it's not a good book at all, and it doesn't even make sense. But anyway, so there's Frankenstein and Igor, who is another name change. We got Mummy, and then Hunchback here, which, Igor, Hunchback, obviously Flea Man. Dragon Skull Cannon, I believe, is the same. Axeman, Ghost, Grim Reaper, that's a change that got changed to Death, and then Dracula is, got changed to Dracula. For capturing each of these items, I guess if you nullify them, whatever. And then the weapons are also different too. So in addition to your magic whip, many of your other weapons are hidden amongst your path to the castle. You're going to need them. Before playing, study this chart so would find your weapons and use them. So we have the watch, the dagger, axe, and firebomb. Which we know this is holy water now, but back in the day, Nintendo was super, super strict about any religious imagery. You could not have it. So firebomb is holy water, so they had to change that, and that's also seen here with Boomerang, which is obviously it's now the cross, right? But back in the day, can't have that. Then we got Small Heart, Large Heart, and then interestingly enough, this somehow made it, Cross, Invisibility Potion, and then the Morning Star Whip, which is actually interesting. It's not called the Vampire Killer in this game. So in the Netflix series, when they're like, hey, it's the Morning Star Whip, not the Vampire Killer, and I was like, oh, why didn't you call it the Vampire Killer? That's boring. It's because it wasn't actually the Vampire Killer. So Moneybag, Double Shot, Triple Shot, that's not... Yeah, so these aren't really going to come into play. Pork Chop, Magic Crystal, so that's just the sign of the ending of the level. These are just items you can collect here. And then there's some stuff here about like what these all do, but we more or less know, hey, watch is going to slow them down. Dagger is something that you can just throw, axe and holy water across. The hearts refill your usages of the items above. The cross wipes everything out. Invisibility Potion makes you invincible. And then the whip is the whip, and you can upgrade it twice. And then, this is actually really interesting, a map. A map of the game, which is really cool. It actually lets you see kind of what you've been doing, which is neat. And it's always neat that it more or less, like if you play like Symphony of the Night and stuff, it's more or less pretty similar to this, especially like this last this always stayed, the stairs to the impossibly floating room. And then there's just stuff like, hey, don't do stupid stuff with your controller, or with your, NES disc, NES cartridge, and then that's it. So without further ado, let's actually get into the game. Now, we're playing this on... Here, one second. Let me get my Streamlabs over to the right screen. We're actually rocking this out on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. I thought about doing an emulated NES. It just seems like it's more work. And I think these are actually really good. Absolutely great. Remix of the games. You can actually switch it over to Japanese if you want. However, so this is the Famicom version. If we're playing a Japanese Castlevania, we're going to do the Famicom Disk System, which I actually have ready to go but we're gonna save that for a later time. So, because we're gonna play, like, most of these games, some of these games have came out on different consoles and stuff. Actually, some of these haven't, like this game. But, for Castlevania is really the only one that we're going to look at every single version of. I think for Simon's Quest, I'm going to look at a different version of it, because these two games came out on home PCs during the 80s, which are very interesting consoles, and a lot of those games are technically pretty much separate games. So, I don't know if you noticed in that list, but I have, like, for Castlevania, I have the Amiga, I have the Commodore 64. I got the Commodore 64 actually working. The Amiga is proving to be a fight. They made, like, 4 arcade versions of Castlevania that I am trying to get working, but I also noticed that those have came out as official releases elsewhere, so I'm probably just gonna end up doing that and not actually trying to get a MAME rig working. But yeah, so there's actually a story here, which I'm pretty sure this story is thrown in way later. But Transylvania, a small peaceful country with the heart of medieval Europe. The people of Transylvania whisper the legend of Dracula to their children at bedtime, only half believing it to be true. The forces of good keep a watchful eye over the land, protecting all who live here. But even during the constant vigil, the forces of evil manage to prevail once every century. Each time this happens, human beings with evil hearts begin to chant unspeakable prayers. This is Dracula, the Prince of Darkness, resurrected from upon the face of the earth. And each time he is manifested, his powers grow stronger. Once, long ago, Dracula was indeed revived in this manner. However, his ambitious plans to plunge the world in the darkness and build a kingdom of evil were crushed by the hero Christopher Belmont, which is Castlevania The Adventure. Following Dracula's demise at the hands of Christopher Belmont, Transylvania countryside slept peacefully for 100 years. Then, one Easter night, the town... Fucking bring him back on Easter? Come on. The townspeople were celebrating the joyous holiday with a splendid carnival. But in the ruins of the old monastery on the edge of town, the followers of darkness were holding a black mass to revive the evil count and give him eternal life. They poured a sacrifice of human blood over his remains, and as they did, an ominous thundercloud enveloped the town. Suddenly a single bolt of lightning pierced the monastery, and in an instant, Dracula and the prince... You know what? I was slowing down because I'm like, I'm gonna outread this, and then I didn't. So this is a story that is retconned in. None of this is in this game. Literally, you're going to see the story of this game in a second when I hit start. I never read this, so I actually want to read this. To give him eternal life, they put a sacrifice of human blood over his remains, and as they did so, an ominous thundercloud enveloped the town. Suddenly, a single bolt of lightning pierced the monastery. In that instant, Dracula, the Prince of Darkness, returned to this world to begin a new reign of terror. There's another paragraph, I think. Yep. But all was not lost. The successor of the Belmont family, Simon Belmont, Belmont family bloodline, a young man by the name of Simon, was determined to rid the land of the terrible evil. Simon looks either like He-Man or like anime Conan the Barbarian, depending on what drawing of him you look at. Taking the mysterious whip left to him by his father, he ventured into Dracula's castle to face the Count alone. And that is it. There's also a bonus book in this, which is kind of neat, but it isn't really anything great. It's just like, look, this is what it looked like. This is what the box art looked like in Japanese, which, to be fair, is interesting. And like, here's the controls and stuff, but like, this isn't. We just went over the manual. This isn't the manual. And obviously this is all just repeating everything we saw. You know, hey, Simon, Lucian House Belmont, come. So basically, main story, Castlevania, Dracula, there's this family, Belmonts, if you've never actually watched a Castlevania, or played a Castlevania, or even heard of Castlevania, there's a family of legendary vampire hunters, there's a family of legendary vampire hunters, Belmonts, who, actively, this is the cutscene, this is it right here. That's it. um, So yeah, family of legendary vampire hunters. The Belmonts, who every single time Dracula comes up, every 100 years, which isn't actually really, he just kind of shows up. When Dracula shows up, everyone's like, "Yo, fuck, that's a problem," and then the Belmonts are like, "Not really." Sometimes the Belmonts aren't there. We'll get into that, but right now, as far as we know, the Belmonts are always there, so that's cool. This is the canonically. There's been more Belmonts, but the ones that we know, this is Belmont 4. Sounds right. Playable Belmont 3, because there is Trevor, there's Leon, and then there's some people, and then there's Trevor, and then there's some people. I think there's actually like one generation we don't know, and then there's Christopher, who got mentioned, who got name dropped earlier. And then there is Soiliu? He has a real weird name. He is not playable. He's actually a boss. We already played it up. Let's get that firebomb. By the way, I'm not great at old school Castlevanias. If you're not familiar, a lot of the struggle with old school Castlevanias is this. No, this isn't one I thought it was. Okay. A lot of the old school struggle with Castlevania is that it controls actually quite poorly. So when I jump, I kind of just get locked in. I cannot change momentum. I need to have pressed the direction I want to jump in long before I jump. That is annoying. What's even worse is that when you get hit, you get knocked up and back, which was a pretty standard old school NES game thing. Also, if I really wanted to, because I know some stuff about this game, I could wait for a bat to come. Not that bad. Actually, probably that bad. And because I get knocked up and back, if I jump onto it when it's like above where I am right now, I just can skip this next part entirely. It's a pretty common speedrunning tactic. I wasn't looking at a bat. That's dumb. So here's the merman. I don't know why, I always loved this as a kid. So, when I was a kid, I had this game on the original NES, and I never beat it. I actually was never able to get past the first boss, because I was like 5. And Castlevania is a legitimately hard game. So, I never played it past that, but to be fair, this level was enough for me. I always used to play the heck out of this level. It was always so scary. I loved it. So yeah, since I've gotten this thing, I've actually been able to get to, I think, like the second to last level, and then I just stopped playing it because I was like, I'm gonna play this on stream one day. So I have that. Like, I can get past these levels. I'm not bad at this game anymore. That is a useless item to me right now. For reasons you'll see in a second here. Bop, bop. Grab that. There's something to do with, like, frame data. I didn't want to do that. Damn it. Whatever. The axe is still a very useful weapon. Actually, it's going to be an even more useful weapon, because if I break that, I get 2 of them. So this is the first boss. It's the vampire bat. I remember it being a lot bigger when I was a kid. It is not that big. So that was it. That was the first level of Castlevania. Yay! We did it! Only took us 20 minutes because I had to keep talking. But we did it. It happened. And then we actually see the map in-game. But it's neat that we had a drawing of it. Here's the boomerang. Stairs are... They fix the stairs in later games. Even when they retain original Castlevania controls. Because there are some games where they just play like this because that's just how Castlevania plays. That is just Castlevania. Get used to it, nerd. And then there are some games where they acknowledge, like, hey, this is bad. And then those are mainly the Metrovania games. Those are way later. Way later. There's, like, errors of Castlevania. And I'm excited to get to all of them. But, like, so there's the retro era of this game. And then there's you know, there's this. So this is Castlevania 1, 2, 3, 4 technically, although 4 plays really nice. 4 is also not canon, so we're gonna come to 4 a little bit later. But oh god, these things. So Castlevania 1, 2, 3, Rondo, Adventure 2. I don't know about Adventure 2, but Adventure also just plays so bad that, like, technically it is an old school Castlevania, but it's easier to control because everything just moves like molasses, so it's easier to plan around. There's 1 and 2, and then yeah, I think it's just Rondo of Blood, and then Symphony of the Night happens, and then you get into the 3D era of like the see right there. That is that's one of the harder parts of Castlevania, is that these fuckers here really suck, and like because the movement options are so bad, not bad, but they're purposely dense. It is legitimately, like, that part is so fucking but anyway, so there's the 3D era, so that has the N64 games and the PS2 games. Both of those I'm actually looking to get into, because the N64 game is like the black sheep of both of them are honestly the black sheep, and they're not very good games from what I understand. But one of them is canon and the other one isn't, which is weird. But it's weird that because they never get mentioned at all, like they never get re-released. Bloodlines. Bloodlines is also an old school Castlevania game, which we already did Bloodlines, so we're not going. That's why I didn't think about it. But yeah, I'm really excited because I never actually even watched footage, really, of the 64 Castlevanias. I know, I remember seeing, like, maybe, I think, like, an AVGN on it, but that was years ago. So I'm very excited. Very excited to see what that's like. I hate this room. Just a heads up, this room is terrible. These things will one-shot you, and the timing on them is stupid. Because that one right there, see how that one's faster? It's terrible. I don't believe there's a skip or anything here. Because, like, see that upper layer above me? Technically, if I were to get hit by something, I could get knocked up there. But that's not something I can do right here. Okay, that was... I remember when I did a practice run of this, that took me forever, and I even gamed over a couple times. Hey, look, it's a ghost! It's a really good rock band. So grab that, even though I don't really use sub items all that much. I don't know. Maybe that's my failing here. I don't know. They just don't seem that useful, especially in this game. Like some other games, like all of Maria Renault's sub items are phenomenal, but also I just kind of love Maria Renault as a character. We're going to do. I know it's not canonical, but we're going to do a Maria run in every single game that I can play Maria in. So, like, we already did Symphony of the Night, but I didn't touch Richter mode or Maria mode. We're probably going to do both of those. Probably Richter mode first, because we're going to do Rondo of Blood, and we're going to do both Maria and Richter, because canon, or not canon, but that's how you 100%, I believe. So I'll probably we're probably going to do Richter first, because obviously that's the actual ending, and then we'll do Maria. You know what? I feel like there's something here for me. No? Okay. So actually, this game has a relatively generous game over system, I believe. It is more or less you can just start the level over. I don't think there's an actual limit to continues, but even then, there's also I can just, you know, save state if I need to. I don't want to, but for clarity, you know, for time's sake, it might end up being worth it. Okay, and this is Medusa Queen or something, I think was the official name. As you can see, it's just another Medusa head. This is probably, so this boss is probably the least realized. She also sucks, and I don't remember how to beat her, because all the other characters, when they come back, So like that's the thing is like the vampire bat, right? That is a boss fight in most Castlevania games. Dracula is actually pretty much the same fight every single game. Fuck. So Dracula is pretty much the same fight every single game. So is Death isn't necessarily, but pretty similar. Vampire bat isn't either, but also Vampire Bat's never actually complicated, so it's not... See, I can just endless continue, so I don't really care. You start at the beginning of the level, which kind of blows, but... So, Death isn't that bad. Who else is the boss? Mummy is actually pretty standard in this game. There's actually a pretty easy way to beat Mummy that speedrunners do, which I'm gonna try. But Medusa Head... They fixed her. She isn't the way that she is. She's like a pretty full-fledged boss fight, not just a weird angry head. So her I have less practice on. Everyone else, just from playing other games, yeah, I know how to fight. I know how to fight Dracula. You know what I mean? It's Dracula. They never changed Dracula. I'll probably still, die a couple times to him, but they never really changed Dracula. Everyone else... Aha. So, when I said Medusa heads suck, right, I'm actually handling them very well. Surprisingly well, honestly. This isn't the level they're known for, though. This is just the, hey, these things exist and you're gonna hate them. Believe it's next level is the level where they are just the worst. It's pretty much this, but like where they just keep coming at you and you have to platform and not fall in the ledge unassisted like an idiot. It's pretty much that, but just damn it. It's pretty much that, but like, there's more stuff flying at you, and it's just ridiculous platforming. I'm like talking shit, like, oh yeah, I'm not having a problem with Medusa heads. And then I kill myself, and then immediately cannot fucking dodge a Medusa head to save my life. I hate Medusa heads so much. Medusa heads are like my second least favorite enemy in the entire Castlevania series, even if they are iconic. Fleaman are worse, because at least Medusa heads are somewhat predictable, right? You can see them coming. Fleamen are less predictable, and therefore I hate them, and I hope that they die. And they're in this game, and if I remember, they suck in this game, and also, this game likes to throw Medusa heads and Fleamen at you at the same time. So that's gonna be fun. I feel like there was a food item over here that I missed. Yes, haha. Okay, perfect. Fuck you. Ah, damn it. Fuck you. So, the music in this game, you're probably hearing it. I can't. I have my volume really low, which sucks. I need to find a solution to that because I want to hear how dope this game is. I love this game's music. It's so good. It's so good. I love all Castlevania music, though. Like, there's very rarely bad Castlevania songs. And that's actually one of the things that got me into Castlevania was, like, Bloody Tears. Which is why, if you've ever noticed, Bloody Tears is like my go-to song for whenever I need like an outro or an intro or really anything. It is either just straight up a Bloody Tears rendition from a game or a remix from OC Remix. Like Bloody Tears is such a good song. Actually, I was going through Castlevania music trying to find outro music for the new outro I have, which you've probably seen by now because I've been streaming for about 30 minutes. I don't know how long these episodes are going to be when I actually cut them up. We'll see. But can't move. Yep, there we go. The outro Bloody Tears is actually from a game called Castlevania Legends, which was not a canonical game, but it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the first Belmont, and then the guy who made, I can't remember his name, Iga? Yeah, Iga was like, no, we can't have a woman Belmont, are you fucking crazy? But I'm really excited to get to that game. That game's non-canonical though, so we're gonna have to take. We're gonna have to. It's gonna be a minute. It's going to be a hot minute before we get there. Because while like I'm going to finish this game today, you know what I mean? Like it's the first Castlevania. They're not particularly long. I know Castlevania 2 is really obtuse, so I'm probably gonna have to do some studying on that one, or like that one's probably gonna be a session or two. Castlevania 3, I actually have no real experience with at all. I just know that it's a good one. Okay, so I can just hit those. Get away from me, lady. I hate Castlevania bosses that are just like, I'm just going to come and stand next to you. It's so annoying, especially in like early Castlevanias where movement isn't necessarily a something that you just have a lot of. It's quite annoying because then you have to like, what is the pixel that I jump on to get above this? And like there's little room for forgiveness there, and it's so annoying. I would like a sub-weapon to just bombard this woman with, and I cannot find one. I know there's holy water, but it's kind of a bitch to get without a max whip, because you can't, if you take a second to whip while those things are crushing you, you're gonna die. It's just gonna happen. Oh, you're gonna die! Hate club! Fuck, why did I duck? That was stupid. Damn it, that shouldn't have hit me, but whatever. Oh, you're dead. Oh, you're gonna die. Jesus! Okay. Bop! And bop! And bop! And see, like, the Medusa heads are at least somewhat predictable. So, like, you can just see the pattern and just dodge around them. Now, when there's, like, 5 of them on the screen, yeah, it's less that way. Okay, come on. Activate. Activate. There we go. Jump! Damn it. Whatever, she's away from me. See what I mean? And it knocks me away. Like, come on, dude. Yes, stay far away from me. Perfect. Listen, if this is just an attrition fight, let it be an attrition fight. I don't care. Yeah! Suck my balls, Medusa. Okay. Good job. Good job, me.